Thank you for tuning in to Mr. Write, your podcast for fiction writers. I'm your host, Taylor Morrison. Today we're going to talk about plot. Okay, so today's the day that you should be planning out your plot. And again, these podcasts are supposed to be done in preparation for NaNoWriMo. And again, that is National Novel Writer Month. And if you don't know what that is, I will leave a link in the description down below for you to go ahead to check out their website. But it is a challenge for writers to write 50,000 words in 30 days. And there's no prizes or anything like that. It's based entirely off of the honor system. But it's not easy. A lot of people find it very difficult, and I have never personally done one myself. I've tried 4 times now, and I cannot do it. So let's see if I can get any further this year. It doesn't help that this year I plan on doing 80,000 because I want to be able to say that I wrote a novel in National Novel Writer Month. I want to say that I actually wrote a novel instead of just leaving it at 50,000, which isn't a novel, it's a novella. Anyway, but today we're going to talk about plot. Today is the day that you should be planning out your plot, or at least getting your plot idea down. So, your plot should have your main character, your status quo, your motivation, your initiating incident, your developments, crisis, and resolution. It should also have at least 3 subplots. Not necessarily that you need to have 3 subplots, but it's best to have 3 subplots just because that helps thicken out the story and keeps your narrative going forward. And all 3 of these subplots should mesh together at some point or another. Again, these are not absolutes. These are not things that you have to do. I'm just giving you some ideas to work with. So, for pretty much you need your initiating incident, which is the thing that starts your adventure for your character. And then you need your main plot, your subplot 1, 2, and 3 for something that starts your character down the road of their no coming back. They have started on their journey. Then you have your main plot point. And then that one has a subplot 1, 2, and 3. Your crisis also has a main plot and subplot 1, 2, and 3. And resolution is main plot 1, 2, and 3. So each one of your subplots, and I'm not saying that you need to have a separate 1, 2, and 3 subplot for every part of your story. I'm saying that each part of your story needs to touch on your main plot and your subplots, all 3 or all 4, and they should all come together at some point. Now, if you go back to my original episode about outlining, that will give you a better idea of what we will talk about today. And plotting is pretty much just getting your outline started out, and you need your character to want something, you need your character to try to get that something, and you need another character to stop them from getting that something. I think one of the easiest ways to get your word count up and also get your subplots in place is to write from multiple perspectives. That's why I'm not a huge fan of first-person narratives. I feel like it's very limiting in what you can know about the story. But again, nothing I say is absolute. I'm not telling you how to do things. I'm just giving you advice and examples of what I think works. So yeah, I'm probably going to end up writing my story from multiple perspectives and have third-person narrative and have it be looked at from multiple angles. Okay, this is from nownovel.com, and these are the 7 steps for success on how to plot out your novel. Is understand the hallmarks of a great plot. So effective story plots are create curiosity and raise questions readers want answered, show cohesion, obey their own internal logic, avoid cliche and create surprise, give readers something worth the investment of time and effort it takes to read. So about create curiosity and raise questions readers want answered. Yeah, that one's pretty straightforward. It's just give your readers questions that they want answered. Show cohesion. That's the one with the subplots that all interlace together. Obey their own internal logic. Says if you give a tyrant complete power in your fictional universe, they have a reason for wanting said power and should try to use it. So give everybody logic. Give everybody their own thought process. Avoid cliche and create surprise. Some genres use cliche by nature. Give common tropes such as these your own personal stamp so the reader forgets you're reading a particular common storyline. Yeah, just be different. Don't stick to just the exact same thing that everybody's doing. If you feel like your story is similar to another story, just change something. Make it different. Make it your own. And then give readers something worth the investment of time and effort it takes to read. Just be interesting. I mean, that one's pretty simple. Just be interesting. Give us creative characters. Give us emotional journeys, controversial subjects. Just, yeah. Yep, number 2, create structured plot outlines. Again, that's like if you go back to my episode about outlining, I explained some of the different types of outlining there. Number 3 is plan illustrative, interesting subplots. Yep, we talked about that. The first, second, and third subplots and how they should intermingle between each other. Yeah, make every character in your novel want something and pursue it. So every character needs to want something. Even if they're a background character or a secondary character or they're not your main character, they need to want something. Plot each scene's purpose before you start. These... for people who like to write off the seat of their pants, this might not work for you because you don't want to plan things ahead of time, but it would really help for NaNoWriMo if you give each scene its purpose. Plot, characters, story events, and settings with equal care. Yeah, don't skimp out on certain things. Go ahead and put the same amount of effort that you did for plotting your characters into your events and into your settings. And then use your plot outline as a guide, not an iron grid. Yep, that one I've always believed is true. Use your outlining as a way to give yourself an idea of what it is that you want, but don't sit there and act like it's the only way that your story can go. You can still change up a lot of things. Well, anyway, that's the episode for today. If you want to reach me, you can reach me at taylormorrisonwriter@gmail.com, and you can write to me on Tumblr on mrwritepodcast@tumblr.com, and you can find me on Patreon at taylormorrisonwriter. I will have another episode out for you tomorrow. And until next time, thank you for listening to Mr. Wright.
Thank you for listening to Mr. Wright. You can find them on Tumblr at mrwritepodcast.tumblr.com, Twitter at mrwright56, and Patreon at patreon.com/taylormorrisonwriter.